Hi, Asian guy here. Before you panic about that red candle bleeding across your screen, let me tell you something that'll change everything. That price drop you're staring at? That's not weakness. That vertical collapse to $73 isn't the market telling you to run. It's the banks screaming in terror. What you're witnessing right now at 16,867 UN is the most transparent, desperate manipulation I've tracked in 2 decades. They want your metal. They're painting a picture of collapse to rip it from your hands. While that chart bleeds red, Venezuela just locked arms with China in a deal that demolishes the petrodollar. While the price crashes, the world's largest silver refiner just slammed the vault door shut. And while you're wondering if you should sell, Samsung and Tesla are scrambling to secure every ounce they can find before the lights go out. This is the bear trap of the century. And if you're holding physical, you're not the one caught in it. Let's talk about what's really happening. In the old trading pits, we called this painting the tape, when big players flood the market with fake sell orders to create panic. Today's version? Spoofing on steroids. The bullion banks drowning in naked short positions worth millions of ounces, they wait for the perfect moment. A holiday weekend when Chinese industrial buyers are celebrating New Year, when Western markets are thin and hungover, then they strike. They unleash thousands of paper futures contracts in seconds, not backed by physical bars in any vault, not representing actual metal being sold by miners. Just digital phantoms created by traders at JP Morgan at Croup, purely to smash the price. Why? Because they know exactly where you placed your stop-loss orders. When they drive the price down artificially, your computer automatically sells to protect you. And who's waiting at the bottom to buy what you just dumped? The same banks who triggered the collapse. You just funded their escape route. Remember the core thesis. These banks are catastrophically short. They've sold paper claims on silver that vastly exceed what physically exists. For every single ounce sitting in COMEX warehouses, there are potentially 100 to 300 paper claims trading against it. This is fractional reserve fraud on a global scale. So when you see this price implosion, ask yourself, is there suddenly a silver surplus? Did mines discover massive new deposits overnight? No. The banks are desperate to reduce that ratio. They need to shake you out before the physical shortage becomes undeniable. Every time they smash the price, they're digging their grave deeper. Now look at the timing. It's January 3rd. 2026. Exactly 48 hours ago, China's export ban went live. The world's largest silver producer just cut off supply. In any logical market, that would send prices vertical to $30, $40, maybe $50 instantly. Supply gets cut, price goes up, economics 101, but instead, silver is crashing. Does that make sense? Does that sound like a free market? No, this is proof of intervention. The chart is lying to you. The banks are creating a false reality because their internal ledgers show something terrifying. Withdrawal requests piling up, delivery notices they can't fulfill, vaults running dry. So their only survival mechanism is to make silver look like a dying investment, bore you into leaving, scare you into selling. But check the volume. That drop happened in minutes. Real selling from producers takes days, even weeks. A mining company selling production does it slowly to maximize price. They don't dump everything at once and crater their own profits. Only someone who doesn't own the metal would sell that way. Only someone who's short, only someone who owes silver would benefit from devaluing it. This is your smoking gun. And here's what exposes the whole charade. If silver is really crashing, if supply is abundant and demand weak, why can't you buy physical at this price? Go ahead. Call your dealer. Try to get a Silver Eagle at the $73 spot price the screen shows. You can't. The premiums are still massive. Inventory is still scarce. This proves the crash only exists in the paper matrix. In the real world, where actual metal changes hands, the price is holding strong. Nobody with physical is selling because of a red line on a computer. The weak hands are getting flushed out. The leveraged gamblers are being liquidated. But the strong hands, we're not moving. We're watching this theater because we know every price smash makes silver cheaper for the very buyers who terrify the banks most. The industrial giants, the sovereign nations, they're celebrating. Because while bankers play algorithm games in Manhattan, the entire geopolitical foundation is crumbling. A new player has entered, a player that's been sanctioned, demonized, isolated. But this player controls something the modern economy cannot function without. We need to talk about the floor forming under this market. We need to talk about Caracas. Intelligence confirms that Venezuela's state oil company is accelerating away from the US dollar. They're settling oil exports to China in yuan, not dollars. Yuan. For 50 years, since the 1970s, the entire global system has rested on one pillar, the petrodollar. The world buys oil in dollars, creating artificial permanent demand for U.S. currency. It allowed the Federal Reserve to print money without consequence because the world had to hold dollars to buy energy. That pillar is cracking. Venezuela sits on the largest proven oil reserves on planet Earth. China is the largest oil importer on the planet. And now these two giants are trading the world's most critical commodity without touching a single US dollar. This is the nightmare the Western banking cartel feared most. When dollars aren't needed for energy, those dollars flood home. They create inflation the Fed can't control. And what's the historic hedge against a dying currency? What asset has preserved purchasing power for 5,000 years while paper empires burned? Silver. So when banks smash silver to $73, they're trying to silence the alarm while the house burns down. They're fighting a geopolitical tsunami with paper. The alliance between Venezuela, China, and Russia is putting a hard floor under commodity prices. The East produces commodities: oil, grain, copper, silver. The West consumes them. Do you think China and Venezuela want low prices for their resources? Absolutely not. They want to drain Western wealth by forcing us to pay true prices. This is why $73 is fiction. It's a price set by the consumer pretending inflation isn't real. But the producer is building a system where that price becomes irrelevant. If Venezuela sells oil for yuan and China uses that yuan to buy silver from its own domestic mines, the US dollar price of silver becomes meaningless. The arbitrage isn't just between cities anymore, it's between civilizations. This creates an unbreakable floor. Every time banks drive price down, they put silver on sale for the nations trying to destroy dollar hegemony. You think the People's Bank of China is worried about a red candle? They're thanking JP Morgan for the discount. They're converting surplus dollars they no longer need for oil into hard metal at suppressed prices. The banks are financing their own destruction. This Venezuelan connection is the macro support preventing silver from collapsing. These buyers aren't normal. They're strategic, ideological. They're not buying to flip for 10% profit. They're buying to insulate themselves from the death of Western fiat. So the lower it goes, the faster physical metal disappears into Eastern vaults. The more they smash paper price, the more physical stress they create. Which brings us to the mechanism, the weapon deployed 48 hours ago that's tightening the noose. We need to talk about the anaconda. This squeeze isn't an explosion. Think about how an anaconda kills. It wraps around the victim's chest. Every time the victim exhales, the snake tightens slightly. It doesn't crush bones immediately. It prevents the next breath. Slow, methodical, inevitable suffocation. That's exactly what the January 1st export ban is doing. As of 48 hours ago, China's new Ministry of Commerce regulations are active. The free trade era is over. Before, if Apple or Tesla needed 10 million ounces, they'd call a refinery in Jiangxi or Henan. Metal on a boat in 3 days. Today, that line is dead. Every shipment now requires a government-approved export license. Dual-use strategic metals now include high-purity silver because it's essential for military guidance systems and energy transition technology. Do you think Beijing is handing out licenses freely? Do you think they're approving shipments to the United States, their geopolitical rival, just because the COMEX price is $73? The licenses are being denied or delayed. This cuts the supply artery. The flow feeding Western industrial machines has been clamped shut. But here's the trick. The West hasn't suffocated yet. Like prey in the anaconda's coils, there's still air in the lungs. Inventory still sits in London warehouses. Metal shipped in December is still in the pipeline. Factories are still running. The banks are using this temporary breathing room to smash paper price. They're pointing to functioning factories saying, "See, no shortage. Sell your silver." But this is deception. The air is finite, the pipeline is draining. Ships that arrived in December are the last ships. Once that inventory is consumed, and it will be in weeks, not months, the next breath won't come. That's when panic begins. That's when the anaconda tightens. Look at the divergence. The paper signal says silver is $73, down from $80. Says supply is abundant, demand weak. But physical reality is that the largest supplier just exited the market. China refines 50 to 60% of world silver. Imagine Saudi Arabia announcing they're stopping all oil exports. Would oil prices drop? It would hit $500 a barrel instantly. So why is silver dropping? Because the market is rigged. Because price is set by paper contracts disconnected from physical metal. But the fatal flaw, the lower they push price, the tighter the anaconda squeezes. If silver was $200, maybe Chinese smugglers would try to get metal out. Maybe Beijing would sell reserves for profit. But at $73, it's an insult. It encourages Chinese refineries to hoard more. By smashing price, banks are ensuring zero metal leaves China. They're enforcing the blockade on themselves. While banks play chicken with the supply chain, the real consumers, entities that need metal to exist, are watching in horror. They're not looking at charts thinking sell. They're looking at empty loading docks thinking survival. The industrial complex. The silent buyers stepping in right now, quietly, desperately, while retail gets scared out. This panic isn't on comic screens. It's in soundproofed boardrooms of the world's largest tech conglomerates, in procurement offices in Seoul, semiconductor fabs in Taiwan, gigafactories in Nevada. While average retail investors see red candles and think sky falling, industrial titans see that same candle and think, thank you. For them, this smash isn't a sell signal, it's a lifeline. Last chance to secure inventory before the anaconda chokes off supply. Understand the psychology. Samsung, TSMC, massive Chinese solar manufacturers, they don't care about chart patterns. They care about existence. Silver isn't an investment, it's oxygen. Without silver, you can't build EV batteries, can't build solar panels, can't build advanced AI chips. Silver is the most conductive metal in the universe, the irreplaceable nervous system of the modern economy. So when price drops to $73, Samsung's procurement officer doesn't say chart looks bearish. He screams, buy everything. We're witnessing massive silent transfer from weak hands to strong hands. Banks smash price to shake you out so corporate clients can vacuum up metal at discount. Classic bait and switch. Paint tape red to make you feel like a loser. Behind the scenes, facilitate massive off-market deliveries. The urgency is real. Major electronics manufacturers are shifting from just-in-time to just-in-case. For 30 years, global supply chains ran on just-in-time. Order metal Monday, arrives Tuesday, into an iPhone Wednesday. The China ban killed just-in-time. Now, if you don't have metal in your warehouse, you're dead. Companies are panic buying, trying to secure 6 months, 12 months, even 2 years of supply right now. They're front-running the shortage. This creates phantom demand the paper market isn't showing. Paper sees selling, physical sees hoarding. This disconnect is most visible in solar. New generation panels, TOPCon and HJT cells, use 50 to 80% more silver than old panels. Solar industry alone consumes nearly 200 million ounces yearly. That's 20% of global supply. Where are most panels made? China. When China bans exports, they're hoarding that silver for their own solar dominance. But European solar factories, American ones, they're cut off. They're bidding up physical price in shadows, calling refiners saying, name your price. They'd happily pay $100 an ounce because without it, their multi-billion-dollar factories become worthless concrete. Cost of silver, even at triple digits, is tiny fraction of total solar project cost. But cost of having no silver is bankruptcy. This is inelastic demand. The buyer pays any price because there's no choice. This brings us to the electronic shortage. Warning signs are visible. Lead times for high-purity silver paste, the material used in electronics, are stretching. What took 2 weeks now takes 8, soon 12, then indefinite backorder. When that headline hits, Apple delays iPhone production due to material shortages, or Tesla halts Cybertruck line, the game changes instantly. The public will realize silver isn't just boomer rock. It's the new oil. In the 20th century, wars were fought over oil because oil powered tanks and factories. In the 21st century, the economy runs on electrons. Silver is the highway those electrons travel. Control silver. Control the AI revolution. Control green energy transition. This is why $73 is such a magnificent trap. It lulls the public to sleep before the resource war begins. Banks are banking on your ignorance. Banking you don't know about China ban, don't know about Samsung stockpiling. They want you to see red and sell because every ounce you sell ends up in an industrial vault, never returning. Once silver is in a Tomahawk missile or solar panel, it's gone for decades, consumed. Don't be fooled by tech wreck narrative. Tech sector isn't wrecking silver, they're devouring it. Silent whales swimming under the surface. While banks make noise with paper contracts, whales swallow the ocean. This leads to the final question. If banks are short, industry is buying, supply is cut, how does this end? How do we get from this manipulated $73 low to triple-digit reality? You're not a bank. You're not Samsung. You're a guerrilla fighter. You need strategy that protects you from volatility, but ensures you're standing with your bucket when wealth rains down. We need to talk about diamond hands. They've smashed price 1,000 points in a session. Now they're sitting in Manhattan and London high-rises, waiting for you to flinch, waiting for you to check your account balance, feel that stomach pit, hit sell. They're counting on your fear, betting on weakness. They believe you have paper hands. If you sell now at $73, you prove them right. You become prey. Dumb money financing their bonuses. Every contract you sell, they buy. Every ounce you liquidate in panic, they scoop to cover naked shorts. You're not cutting losses. You're donating wealth to the riggers. The only way to win a rigged game is refuse to play by their rules. Diamond hands isn't just a meme. It's disciplined military-grade investment philosophy. It means you fundamentally reject the price signal because you know it's false. You look at $73 and don't see loss. You see lies. Understand what you're holding? Not a lottery ticket, not speculative crypto that could zero tomorrow. You're holding silver. Element 47. The metal reflecting 95% of visible light, killing bacteria on contact, conducting electricity better than anything in the known universe. It's been money for 5,000 years. Survived Roman Empire, Spanish Empire, British Empire. It will survive American Empire. Do you think desperate bankers pressing computer buttons can destroy silver's value? Can repeal physics? No. They distort perception of value for a short window. That window is closing. Here's your battle plan. Rule 1, ignore spot price. Delete the app if needed. Stop refreshing Comex ticker every 5 minutes. Spot price is the price of paper settling in cash. Price of a ghost. Zero relevance to physical metal in your safe. If spot goes to $50 tomorrow, does your ounce shrink? Weigh less? Stop conducting? No. Still the same ounce. Judge wealth by ounces, not dollars. You have 1,000 ounces today. Price drops, you still have 1,000 ounces. When the repricing event happens, when the anaconda squeezes the last breath out, those 1,000 ounces buy the same real estate, same land, same freedom, regardless of what the ticker said in January 2026. Rule 2, watch premiums. This is the only honest signal. If spot crashes to $73, but dealers charge $85 or $90 for physical coins, that tells you everything. Physical market is rejecting paper price. Banks can smash paper but can't force dealers to sell real coins at a loss. As long as premiums stay high, bull market is alive. High premiums during price drops are ultimate bullish divergence. Physical shortage, overpowering paper manipulation. Rule 3, no leverage. This is how they kill you. Banks know if they drop price fast enough, they liquidate leveraged traders. If you're trading futures on margin, you're in a minefield. One flash crash, account wiped. Can't have diamond hands if your broker force liquidates you. Only way to be unbreakable is hold outright. Physical metal or unleveraged fully paid positions. No debt against silver, no risk of ruin. Every day they suppress price, they bleed inventory, bleed credibility. You just sit there, do nothing. Doing nothing is hardest thing in investing. Right now it's the most lethal weapon you have. Rule 4, buy the blood. If you have cash on sidelines, this crash is a gift, the sale you waited for. Remember when silver was $80 and you wished you'd bought more? Manipulators just granted your wish. Rolled back the clock, gave you second chance to load the boat before it sails. Take fake paper currency being printed into oblivion, the dollar, euro, yen, trade it for hard asset artificially discounted. You're arbitraging bank stupidity. We're standing at a precipice. The old world, the petrodollar world, the unlimited paper derivatives world, the world where bankers control reality, is dying. You see it in desperation of their moves. Clumsy vertical smashes defying logic. Geopolitical revolt of BRICS nations. They're fighting for their lives, but you're fighting for your future. The future belongs to things that are real, things that can't be printed. It belongs to silver. Hold the line. Don't let them shake you out. When you see that red candle, see it for what it is. Last gasp of a dying system. The bear trap snapped shut. But if you're holding physical, you're not inside. You're watching from outside. The only thing trapped is the banks themselves, trapped in a short they can't cover in a market running out of metal against a world waking up. The squeeze isn't over, barely begun. The spring is coiling tighter. When it releases, when the Venezuela floor holds, when China ban bites, when industry panic buys the last bar, the explosion will be vertical. Violent, glorious. Analysis complete. Warning delivered. Strategy set. Diamond hands. See you on the moon. Like, subscribe, and share.